So let's close all of this and create a new folder inside our app folder and call it auth. Then inside auth we need to create a new folder called sign up, and inside auth one more folder called sign in, and inside sign in and sign up we need to create a new file called page.tsx, that is the special file name for NextJS, and let's create a page.tsx inside sign up also. So page.tsx. So first of all let's work with the sign up function because we need to register the user in our website. So let's create the page, export default async function and call it sign up, and create a return statement here with the div tag and call this is sign up, just to see the page is working or not. So let's create that. So if I now save it and visit the route auth slash sign up, we should see the page. So localhost 3000 auth and sign up. Okay, so we are seeing this is sign up page and we have successfully linked the component to the page. Also let's add some classes here inside div tag. So first will be flex1, that is it will cover the whole screen of our browser window, and then the overflow auto. So if I now save, we should see our footer moved to bottom of the window, and that's correct. So let me just quickly create the sign up page for you to save your time. But before working on our sign up page, let's commit our changes to Git and GitHub of home page. So let's do that. So if I run git status here, we should see some files. Modified home page, this is home page, and then we have components info section and some files created here. And actually let me show the structure of folder and files that I have created for our info section. So let's close this, I forgot to mention that. So first we have info section here, then we have info section cards grid here, that is this file, and then we have card item, that is this file code I have already showed you, and the cards grid is using a type here, that is info section card type, that I have defined in our lib folder, that is inside root of our project, and inside it we have a TypeScript folder, then a home folder, and inside home folder we have info section.ts file, that is defined the type here of our info section card type. So that was the structure. Let's also commit these changes. So if I run git add all and git status, then I need to unstage these two files, that is sign in and sign up page, because we don't want to commit them right now. So let's unstage these changes. So git restore stage and file name is app auth sign in page.tsx and app auth sign up page.tsx. So let's run git status again, and we are seeing untracked files, that's correct. So let's git commit and dash m and say add info section to home page, that is a fine commit message. And let's also git push origin main to GitHub, and that's pushed to GitHub. Let's git status one more time here, and we are seeing the sign in and sign up page is here. So let's work on our sign up page now. Okay, so I have created our sign up component and this is how it is looking. You can check the component out. First we have a title sign up, then we have a sign up form here with fields full name, email address, password and confirm password, then two buttons below, that is the sign up button and the sign in with Google account button. We can also sign into the website with our Google account, that's also an option because we are using auth in our application. And lastly we have a text here saying already have an account, you can sign in here. Although the sign in route is not ready yet, but I can show you the code of our sign up page here. So firstly we have a section here that contains the title of our page, that is sign up page. Then we have a section for sign up form. Let's open the sign up form here, and sign up form is a client component. We are using use client directive here, and it contains a lot of code, so you can check it here. Let me just show you the whole code, and then I will explain the code how it's working. So firstly, we have a hook defined here that is called use transition, which is used to show loading indication of our form status when we are submitting the form. Then we have states here, that is name, email, password, confirm password, and reaction message type and reaction message. These two, reaction message type and reaction message, is used to display the error messages and successful messages in our form. And then we have a reaction message type enum here, which I have defined in our lib TypeScript. Then auth.ts file here that contains none, success, and error message reaction type. So let's go back to our sign up form and let's continue the explanation. Then we have a handle register submit function here, which will handle our submit action. So firstly, we are preventing the default operation. Then we are checking for name emptiness, email emptiness, and password and confirm password. And also we are checking if password is not equals to confirm password, then show the error messages here. Then we are starting the transaction, and inside the transition we have nothing, but we will implement in a moment. Then we have our sign up form content here, that is the HTML or JSX I should code. So firstly we have a form tag here with defined 550px and on submit function defined here. Then we have a field set of sign up form, that is the title of sign up form here, it is shown. Then we have a div and input for name, email address, and password, then confirm password. Then we are displaying the error messages if there are any error messages or successful message here. Then we have a button here called sign up and sign in with Google account. And this is the last div that contains the already have an account text and link to sign in here page. So this was our sign up form component. Next we need to implement the authentication system in our website for sign in and sign up purposes, that we are going to use Firebase authentication in our project. So let's do that. Let's open our Firebase and see the steps for creating that. So first of all, we need to create a new project in our Firebase, and let's go to console here by clicking on there. Then we need to create a new Firebase project, and let's call this Pocket Plan NextJS. I think this should be fine. So let's continue here. Then AI stands for your Firebase project. We can actually leave this checked. Then we need to press continue. Then Google Analytics for your Firebase project, we can have that also. Let's continue and configure Google Analytics. We can select just, let's actually select default Next.js account here. Then we need to click on create project, and it will take some time. Let me just fast forward for you. Okay, so it has finished creating the project. Your Firebase project is ready. Now let's click on continue, and we are loading our project here. We need to close this. We don't need this for now. Let's go to our build and let's click on authentication, and here we will have, let's click on get started. So here it is showing sign in method and users tab here. This is the tab where users will show up when they authenticate with our Pocket Plan website. So let's go to sign in method, and we need the native providers email and password and Google. So first let's set up email and password for this. So let's enable this email link passwordless sign in. We can just have it turned off. Let's click on save, and email password is enabled for now. Next we need to go to the Firebase documentation to see how we can implement email password authentication in our project. So let's go to firebase.com and go to docs, and then we need to click on build, and here it has shown the documentation for authentication. So let's click on authentication on the left panel and click on web. Then we need to click on get started. So it is saying get started with Firebase authentication on website. So we need to select the web modular API, that is the import and export system of exporting files and importing files. So first we need to import the get auth from Firebase auth. We need to actually first install the Firebase in our project and initialize it. So let's click on this and see the steps here. Create a Firebase project and register your app. So we have already created our Firebase project. Next we need to click on the register your app and check the steps here. After you have a Firebase project, you can register your web app with that project. So we need to go to our project and click on settings button, or actually let's go to project overview and click add app here. Then we need to select the web from here. So it is unity, this is the web function, and app nickname, we need to define our nickname of app. So let's call it pocket lan, and also set a Firebase hosting. We don't need to check this, leave it empty and click on register app. Okay, so it is loading. Then it is saying we need to install the Firebase package. So let's install that. Go to our project and we need to install the Firebase here. So let's run npm install Firebase, and it will take some time to install. Okay, so it have installed the Firebase. Next we need to run our dev server again. So npm run dev and check the package.json file to see if it actually installed. Okay, the Firebase version 12.7.0 is installed now. So let's continue our documentation here. So then we need to import the initialize app from Firebase app and import get analytics from Firebase analytics. And then we need to create a variable here called Firebase config. Then we need to initialize our app const app initialize app and pass the Firebase config. So let's copy all of this and we can just create a new file in our lib folder called, let's get a new folder called Firebase, and we need to create a new file called Firebase app.ts maybe, and let's just paste the code here, remove the comments because we don't need that. And it is saying measurement id is optional, so let's keep the measurement id for now. Then we have initialized Firebase app and we need to export our app here. So let's export and rename this to Firebase app. And then we have the analytics here. Let's just pass the Firebase app first here, then we have analytics. We can leave the analytics just as it is, we can do that later. So let's save it and we need to create some environment variables for our app now. So this all will be powered by environment variables. So let's actually create that first. So let's go to root of our project and create a new file called .n.local, and we can just copy paste it from here. So let's copy from here and paste it in the environment file, and let me just quickly do it for you. Okay, so I have created our environment variables in our project. So here is the code. First we have API key, environment variable, then we have auto main variable and project ID and so on. The important thing is that we are using next underscore public underscore Firebase API key. This next underscore public underscore is necessary if we are exposing our environment variable to the client component, because otherwise it can be bad as directed by the NextJS documentation. So we need to keep next underscore public underscore there. So let's actually move to the next step in our documentation. So we have created this. Let's click on continue to console. So let's go to authentication tab and let's continue our documentation here. So we have registered our app. So then we have a note here, using modular API is strongly recommended, and we are using the modular API. So we are done with this page. Now let's close this page and let's continue on our authentication guide. So we need to import the get auth from Firebase auth and initialize our app. Here we have already initialized. Then we need to call const auth equals get auth. So let's do that. So inside our sign up form, we need to create some variables here. So first of all, let's comment here Firebase, and inside that we need to create an app here, and we need to import it from Firebase app, that is lib, and we are actually created the Firebase folder inside TypeScript. We need to change that, so let's change that also first. Actually move this folder to lib, not in the TypeScript, and then we have correct file structure. So let's create our app here called Firebase app and get it from Firebase app lib Firebase app file. And actually we need to remove the parentheses from here and change our this name to, let's just say, app, because we can't have the same name here and here also. And let's maybe call it fire app so we can better understand what's going on. So let's say fire app. Next we need to import the auth, so let's call it fire auth, and we need to import that auth from Firebase auth, and we need to pass the Firebase app maybe, and we need to import that actually. So it is not importing, let's manually import that. Import from Firebase, and that is auth, and the function to import is get auth, and that's like we have imported it. Then we need to pass the Firebase app, so fire app we need to pass it. Okay, so we have created our Firebase auth. Then we need to move to the next step, that is sign up new users. So it is saying const auth equals get auth create user with email and password. Actually it is a promise function, create user with email and password. Then we need to pass the auth and email and password of the user. Then we can get the user credential as our result, and we can get the user object from there. So let's actually do that. We need to import a new function, create user with email and password from Firebase auth. So let's do that. Let's actually move this auth from here to our handle submit function, and we can do that here inside start transaction. So const, let's just paste that, and then we need to say create user with email and password from Firebase auth, and we need to pass the auth here. So Firebase auth we can pass here. Then we need to pass email of the user, so it will be email, and password of the user, that is password. So it will return a promise that we need to handle, so we can say then, and we can catch the user credentials. So let's say credential, and then we need to pass an arrow function, and then we can get our user from here. So const user equals credentials credential dot user, and then we need to also check for errors. So let's do that also. Let's actually move this down here, and we can say then catch, and we can catch error here and print out to the error messages here. So let's say set reaction message, where it is set reaction message, and set the error message here. So let's just say failed to sign up the user, and we can just pass the error here, error dot message, and that's fine. We need to also set the error message type, reaction message type also, to display it better. So then we can say reaction message type nm to error, and let's just save that. Let's go to our documentation, and here we have error code and error message here printed. So then we have sign in as existing users, and then we have set an authentication state observer that we can do in a moment. So let's actually console log the user if we are doing everything correctly. So console.log and pass the user here. So let's actually save that and open our terminal here, and we can just refresh, and we get an error here. So it is saying Firebase analytics is not supported in this environment. Rapid initialization of analytics in analytics dot is supported to prevent initialization in unsupported environments. So we need to actually remove the analytics from our Firebase app here. So let's actually remove this from here and remove this also. Let's just save that and let's open our console window here, and let's refresh the page if we are seeing the error again. Let's just refresh and pass the information in. So let's first name as Shubham Singh, email as let's say abc@gmail.com, password 123456 123456, and click on sign up. Actually we need to provide some successful message also, so let's do that also. So before console log, after console login the user, let's set reaction message to successfully signed up the user. You can now sign in. Okay, this is a fine message, and we need to set reaction type also. So reaction message type, that is success. So if I now save and click on sign up, let's open our console, and if I now click on sign up, we should see the successful message and user created in our Firebase authentication. So let's click that, and we are saying successfully signed up the user, you can now log in. So let's verify that in our Firebase console, and if we refresh our users tab here, we should see the user here. So we have email abc providers, that is email and password, and date created December 16, signed in December 16, and we also have a user id here. So we are successful in creating our sign up page. It was a lot of code to be honest, but you can get it step by step and slowly, and it's just better to follow the documentation for any errors if you see. So now that we have registered our user with email and password, now let's work on implementing the sign in with Google account feature. So let's go to our documentation again, and we need to click on sign in with Google from here. So first we need to import our Google Auth provider from Firebase Auth, and we can create a new provider from Google Auth provider. So let's do that. So it is Google Auth provider, and we need to create a new function for it maybe because we have not defined on click on that. So let's create a new function here. So it will be async function, and it will be called handle sign in sign up, actually sign in with Google Click. And here we need to import the provider. So const provider equals, what was the name, new Google Auth provider. So new Google Auth provider from Firebase Auth. So do we need to pass anything inside this? Okay, we don't need to pass it. So let's continue our work here. So we need to import that also, sign in with pop-up, then we need to pass our authentication object and provider. Then we need to cache the result here, and we need to pass it to get the credential from Google Auth provider, and it will generate an access token and the user. So let's do that. So first we need to import sign in with pop-up. So let's do that. We need to run sign in with pop-up from Firebase auth, and we need to pass the Firebase auth here, and we need to import that also. So let's do that. Const Firebase auth equals get auth, and pass the Firebase app, fire app. Then we need to pass the Firebase auth here and provider also. So provider, and we can actually paste the Firebase auth to the component scope because we are using it two times in two separate functions, so it's better to declare variables on the global scope. So let's remove from there also. So let's remove from here and then continue our work. So then we need to cache the result here and we need to pass the result in const credential and from Google or provider dot what is it credential from result. So result we need to pass the result here and then we can cache the access token here. So const token we can use it later. I'm defining it for just now. So const token equals credential dot access token and const user equals result dot user, and we can console log the id of user just to verify if it is all working or not. So const user dot uid. So let's save it and add a successful message here also. So set reaction message as successfully signed up with Google account, and set the reaction message type also. So reaction message type nm.success, and we need to catch errors also. So let's do that also. So dot catch error and create an arrow function here, and let's just set the reaction message here to fail to login or sign up, fail to sign in with Google account, and print the error message here. Error dot message, and that's all we need to do. We need to set the reaction message type here also, and it will be of type error. So we have done that, successfully signed in. Actually it is not up sign in with Google. Later we can redirect the user to the home page instead of console logging the users. So let's test our implementation. So if we refresh our page and click on sign in with Google account, actually we need to link our function with our button. That's what we need to do first. So let's add an on click here. So on click, and we need to pass the handle sign in with Google click. Actually rename this function to Google account click. Google account click, and let's save that and refresh the page. Let's open our console window and let's click on sign in with Google account. Okay, we are seeing an pop-up window and we are seeing an error, failed to sign in with Google account, error Firebase error, auth operation not allowed. Actually we need to enable our authentication here. So let's go to sign in method and add a new provider here, and that is Google provider. So we need to enable it and we need to set these field here. So public facing name for project will be, let's call it pocket plan NextJS. Let's call it actually pocket plan only. Let's capitalize the P, and support email, let's give our support email, and then we need to change the safe list client IDs from external project. That is optional, we don't need to add that. And web SDK configuration, that will be automatically created for us. So let's click on save now. Okay, so we have enabled our Google Auth authentication in our project. So let's now test that. So let's refresh the page and click on sign in with Google account. and we are seeing our Google accounts linked here. So let's select one of them and see if it is actually working or not. So let's select through sync and click on continue button, and we are seeing message successfully signed in with Google account. And let's check our console here to see. Okay, we are seeing our UID, that is the user ID in our console. So we are successfully in implementing our sign in with Google account also. Let's now work on our sign in page. But before that, let's commit our changes also, because we have not committed any changes since a long time ago. So let's git status here to see. We have modified app auth sign up page, then we have modified package.json file because we have installed Firebase, then we have created new files inside components auth lib and TypeScript auth. So let's git add all of them, and let's git commit with the message install Firebase and add functionality of sign up a new user with email and password and sign in with Google account on sign up page. So this is a fine commit message. Let's commit here, and let's also push to GitHub. So git push origin main also, and we are good to go. Let's check our GitHub here if we are seeing any changes here. So we have 7 commits, and let's open the commit here. So if we see, we have package.json file modified here, that we have installed the Firebase, and then we have auth.ts file here, and all the files and changes listed here. So we are done with this sign up page. So let's go back and work on our sign in page.